Tuning in. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream where I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time to talk all things claims, careers, coffee, and all kinds of other cool stuff. I'm your host, Josh Fisher, and this stream is brought to you by Crew Talent Group, the greatest claim adjuster recruiting group on the planet. If you're tuning in, jump in the chat. I'd love for you to say hello. And if you enjoy this content, do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me more than you could know. And if you're in claims or you want to be, connect with me on LinkedIn or send me your resume at www.crewtalentgroup.com. I'd love to hear from you. Now it's time for the show. What up, what up, what up? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. What's happening? We are live officially. Another microphone here. You're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. What up, TikTok? My phone has 18% battery, so we'll see how long that lasts. But if you want the full experience here on TikTok, you should head over to claimsrecruiter.com or LinkedIn or YouTube or any of the other channels. A little bit fancier setup here, but thanks for tuning in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream where I go live, talk about all things jobs in insurance, careers, and claims. Let's get right into it. Let's rock, baby. A little sweaty this morning. Just got done running 6.6 miles. Find me on Strava. Check it out. Got some miles in this morning. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. It is hot here on the Best Coast. We got a high of 88 here in Portland, Oregon today. It'll be the hottest day of the year. Shout out to the summer. Let's go. I'm getting stoked. I love the summer. I love swimming. I love being tan. I love running. I love the 4th of July. I love this coffee. You're tuning in. Say hello in the chat. Let's see if my chat's working. I don't know. There it is. Chat is up and running. We are rocking and rolling. Claimsrecruiter.com. That's where you can find me. Also, crewtalentgroup.com. This show is brought to you by Crew Talent Group, the greatest claims recruiting company on planet Earth. Let's rock right into it. Let's get into it. So first up, we got the goals of the week. I like to go over my goals. If you've got some cool goals, whether it be your personal life, your professional life, your career, your job seeking, whatever it might be, love to hear from you as well. Pop it in the chat. I think it's important to have goals. Have big goals, make big dreams. My goals of the week. So my biggest goal of the week, and if you've been following me or this show, you know that my marathon training has all but consumed my life over the last, 6 months. My biggest goal of the week is to improve my running form. And one of the things specifically about my running form that I'm trying to change right now is I'm trying to increase my cadence from about 160 to about 170, 172-ish. And this has a ton of effects on just like my overall running efficiency in general. I've noticed so many good things because of it. Specifically, my efficiency is going up, which means I can hold faster speeds with a lower heart rate, which the world of endurance running is really important. But along that vein, I think it's important, and I've been thinking about it in my professional career, my business, and my day-to-day work. Small fixes or identifying what small fixes you can make or I can make in my daily work that have large results almost immediately. And in my running life, increasing my steps per minute from 160 to 170 has had huge impacts on my overall efficiency and my ability to run longer distances at higher speeds. And I'm trying to think of what small changes in my professional life I can make that will have large impacts immediately, just like that. So a couple things I've been thinking about, a couple things we'll be trying out, but that's my goal this week for my professional life too, is to find and identify a couple small, easy changes that I can make, something simple that's going to have immediate effects on my efficiency and my ability to do my job. One of those I think is just having my phone at a different table. I think as a recruiter, I use my phone as my work a lot. So I'm very tied to it. I want to reply to people immediately, or when I get texts, when I get calls, I want to answer right away. But sometimes that distracts me from other work. So having periods of my day where my phone is charging on the other side of the room, where I can't just grab it and start a game or go on TikTok or whatever. We'll see what it does. But there's some goals of the week that I've got. Love to hear your goals. If you're out there listening, if you're out in the chat, if you're hanging out today, I'd love to hear your goals. My other goal is to stop drinking soda. Interesting little goal. I don't know. I think soda's great. I love my Diet Coke. I love my little fridge cigs, as we call them. But it's one of my goals this week is to stop drinking soda. But yeah, if you're out there listening, you're out there tuning in, love to hear your goals. We're just going to keep on rocking through. Next, we're going to hear you winning. Segment number 2, hear you winning. So shout out to all the listeners out there. If you're out there winning and you're doing cool stuff, you got a new job, you got an interview coming up, I want to hear from you. But I specifically want to shout out a few people that have been winning recently that I've talked to, heard of. Shout out Jeff, starting his new job. Big shout out to Jeff, listener of the show. Shout out to Johanna, starting her new job yesterday. Shout out Joanna, and then shout out Taylor, starting her new job next week on Monday. So that's pretty exciting stuff. A lot of moving parts. I got some folks interviewing this week, so that's pretty cool. If you're interviewing, shout out to you. Good luck. Fun times, exciting stuff. But if you're out there tuning in, love to hear what's on your mind, what's got you fired up this week. I want to hear you winning. A lot of fun stuff happening right now. So yeah, if you're tuned in, if you're a listener of this show, say hello. Want to hear what's on your mind. Want to hear your exciting wins, your goals, whatever you got. You're out there on TikTok hanging out. What up? Okay, let's see what else. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. We do this every single Tuesday. We go live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We talk all things insurance careers, totally open format. Got questions, you got something you want to talk about, you've got something on your mind, bring it to the chat, bring it to the office. This is what we're here for, totally open format. If you don't got anything today, I go through my DMs basically from the last couple weeks, talk about things that I've been hearing, talk about questions that people have had, talk about topics that are on my mind. So we'll go through some of those. Typically start the live stream with a couple recurring segments, goals, hear you winning, and then we do some little bit of market intel, market pulse. And so one of the big things that I've been hearing a lot recently over the last 2 years is like AI is going to take your jobs. AI is going to take your jobs. AI is going to take your jobs. I just want to put this out there for everybody listening. I'm curious if you're an adjuster, if you're in the insurance industry, if you're not in the insurance industry, has anyone had an AI tool that's implemented their workflow that's like drastically changed the outcome of where they're at right now, or really, really improved like tools or I'm just curious because we're kind of hitting this point now where we're seeing like the wall, and I feel like you got an interview with Sam Altman last week saying, oh, well, we kind of walked back what I said. Maybe this thing's not going to take all your jobs. You got the CEO of Anthropic kind of pulling back. Now you have the Anthropic IPO. It's going to be really interesting to see with the OpenAI IPO going public, with Anthropic going public. What are these things actually worth? Are they actually going to make money long term? Are they going to hit a wall? What I'm finding personally is I'm just not seeing these tools and these tech startups and these awesome ideas that are going to 10x your business overnight and change your life dramatically. They just don't have the results that they're saying. So I'd be really curious, people out there, if you're having this similar experience. But now you're starting to see some news articles kind of saying the contrary, right? Salesforce laid off 10,000 people because they're going to replace all of them with AI, and then Salesforce is now hiring again. You've got Sam Altman saying that he overshot his expectation. I think, again, we're underselling in the long term what this stuff's going to be able to accomplish, but in the short term, we've totally oversold it. And it's going to take a couple more large breakthroughs, or at least that's my opinion of it all. And from a claims recruiting, my perspective as a recruiter, one of the biggest places that I see these tools, or I see people in my DMs trying to sell me to, is what's called an AI sourcing tool. And so there's all these different companies right now, tons of them. They're in my DMs constantly. And it's like, hey, your job is to go find people, right? You have companies that reach out to you that compensate you for going out and finding people to work their jobs. And so we're gonna make your life easy where you just click a button and you can, you're gonna find 100 people. So you need a claims adjuster in Alabama working a desk. You just click this button and boom, I got 100 claims adjusters in Alabama, and they're ready to go. And what I'm finding is the nuance and the understanding of the industry and these things actually doing anything other than just search keywords is not practical or effective in any way, shape, or form for what I'm trying to accomplish. I find a lot of use out of daily LLMs like OpenAI, like ChatGPT, like Claude, even Gemini. I find it helps me sometimes word emails. It helps me analyze documents. It helps me create AI images for my podcast. Sometimes it helps me organize my thoughts, but it's more of like a personal daily assistant as compared to like this high-powered recruiting tool. And I actually pay a lot of money for a platform that I really like, to be honest. It's called Recruiter Flow, and basically it's this overall, it's everything. It's got a whole bunch of different systems, right? It's got a CRM, so it helps you organize all my contacts, all their information. It helps me search on them, things like that. So sales, people that reach out to me. So if you send me information, you send me your resume, I plop it in my CRM. The AI little bot there like scans over your resume, it categorizes your information, it puts you in a database, all that stuff. I have that. It's a really awesome tool. It also data enriches for me, which is a pretty cool tool where like I can just click get phone number and it's going to pull someone's phone number, and it's accurate just as good as the other data enrichment tools out there. But got client portals, it's got login. So if I send people to a client, they can log in, they can make notes, they can give them, like, it's a really cool platform, but it has an AI sourcing tool. That's one of the big things they sold to me when I was looking at this program. And frankly, I just don't even use it. You just type in what you want and we'll find you a bunch of different people on whatever over the webs. You know, all these companies do is they search LinkedIn, and I find it just more effective for me to go on LinkedIn myself and do it the old-fashioned way. And I like this product that I use, don't get me wrong, but the AI sourcing piece of it has just not been at all effective. And I get constantly people in my inbox trying to sell me other ones, and I don't think that they're effective yet. And I think that we're seeing that not just in that specific niche, but kind of across the board. It'll be really interesting to see over the next few years who makes it, who doesn't, what happens to all these products. I think there's some really good ones out there. I really wish the best for most people, but my experience with it is it's been overhyped. And so I'm curious. Caleb chimed in, says, I've seen demos, they don't seem very practical yet. Caleb, I'd be curious to hear your experience specifically with some of the tools that Xactimate has implemented. Has that improved your workflow at all? Specifically, I think the recent one that I've seen is the interior sketch feature of Exact Mobile. Seeing if you can sketch an interior of a room without pulling out a tape measure, without doing all that stuff, just by video on your phone. I feel like that would be a pretty awesome enhancement into claims adjusting, specifically for property field adjusters or inspectors or what have you. I think companies, and it's not even like an AI company, but a company like EagleView, I'm sure they incorporate AI into what they do. I mean, that's been revolutionary for claims, right? You used to have people go out and actually measure roofs. I don't know a single person who's measured a roof in the year 2026 because they all use some variation of that product. Eagle View just happened to be one of the first to market. Um, but that wasn't necessarily an AI product. That was just, I mean, at its core, it was satellite imagery, planes, drones, imagery, and then using measurement tools. Maybe they use AI with it now. But yeah, I'd be really curious from like a property adjuster standpoint, if there's any of these tools. I could see Claude being helpful in terms of just like creating standard documents, but then also just like a spell check type of thing. But I also worry about some of the legislation where if they find out that you used AI on a report, you're going to get into some sort of trouble with the DOI. I'm not sure where that's at. As AI becomes more integrated into claims handling, what skills, certifications do you think will make an adjuster more valuable over the next 5 years? That's a great question. I think at the end of the day, claims handling has not changed a ton. I think the tools that people use have drastically changed. And so being able to learn new tools, whatever it might be, if it's an Eagle View, if it's a LiDAR sketch, if it's things like DocuSketch, Hover, just being able to integrate new tools into your workflow matters. But as far as the core skill sets of a claims adjuster, I don't know if it's changed a whole lot over the last 10 years. I think at the end of the day, customer service is huge. I think having empathy, I think being a problem solver, I think having good negotiating skills. I think you have to know the products that you're working with. So like roofing materials, if you're a property adjuster, car components if you're an auto adjuster. It just depends on what type of line of business you're in, but those core skills haven't changed. I think one of the things that is constant though is the changing of the way that you're doing things, whether it be the technology you're using or the tools. And so whatever the tool it might be, just being able to adapt to that. Caleb chimed in, said, I love Exact Mobile. I've been using the LiDAR Sketch AR, and that's awesome. So yeah, I think I would imagine that is what I was just kind of talking about, which is using the LiDAR on your phone. So like companies like DocuSketch have been doing this. They use the little Insta360 cameras. Now Exact Mobile coming out with their own product to do it. Obviously two different products, right? You're getting a way more thorough image using a company like DocuSketch, but if you can get the dimensions, if you can get measurements of a room with Exact Mobile, that's got to be sweet. The exact demo I saw was Contacts Assistant, and it was lackluster to say the least. Yeah, I think the contents industry is interesting. I think Michael Balzero and his company Adjusto has got some really cool stuff with contents, and that's really interesting to see. He's an awesome human. Got a really cool company. I would imagine Exact is trying to do something similar. Check out Adjusto. It's a really interesting company. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a really interesting use case for it would be contents. And if you're new to claims, new to adjusting, curious about some of these things, contents is when your stuff gets destroyed, your TV, your couch, your beanbag chair, your computer, your laptop, and there's an adjuster out there. There's companies out there where all they do is content. So they go through someone's house burns down in a fire. Well, part of your insurance policy covers the stuff. So you have to go line by line, item by item of all the things, and sometimes it's really hard. And so it's tons of lines. A lot of times something like that happens, you're probably hitting policy limits, so you're just trying to think of the stuff that's larger in value. But if you're out there right now, sitting on the sidelines, this new stuff to you, here's something you can do that's going to highly benefit your life. It can't. The worst case scenario is it doesn't do anything for you. The best case scenario is it really helps you. But take your phone, start a video, walk around your house for 20 minutes and record a video of all of your stuff. And Again, worst case, you never need to use it. You know, I guess that's not the worst case. The worst case is probably you do need to use it. Best case is you don't need to use it. But anyways, we'll move on. That's just been my experience here recently, and thinking about kind of things and on my mind or current events. I think AI has just been wildly overhyped over the last 2 years. I'm a little bit sick of it. That being said, there are certain tools that I absolutely love. Caleb's chatting about Claude here. Claude, if you haven't used Claude yet, I highly recommend that you download Claude. My biggest gripe with Claude is that I run out of credits. I have to keep buying credits. And maybe that's where like AI is headed. That's probably why they're making more money than ChatGPT, is because they charge you. But yeah, the skills in Claude are on a different level than AI or Gemini. And I'd be really interested to see how claims people in their daily lives use Claude. But I think like the document, the way that you can edit documents, you can put in a Word doc. Claude will actually edit the document, spit it out. Same with like Excel documents, is just on a different level than ChatGPT. So that's pretty cool. The skills within Claude are also really cool. You can have it do, if you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over, it just organizes things a little bit different than ChatGPT, where in Claude you can create a skill and you can have specific notes, specific outcomes, specific formats that you do things. So for me, really good example of a Claude skill would be, a lot of times if I get someone who applies to a job and I present them to a candidate, a lot of times I'll redo their resume or make changes to their resume, because I want to represent that person the best possible way that I can. And so I'll go in and make resumes. Well, that's a really time consuming task. And then I used to kind of use ChatGPT. Okay, help me create these bullet points with the, like, under this format. And I built prompts with like, here's the framework I want to use. Here's what you have. Don't hallucinate data. I want this outcome. And then I would go in, look it over, tweak things, move it, copy and paste it. Now I go in Claude. I've got my resume format. I have my framework. I have exactly what's built. I have very custom instructions. I have 5 examples in there of ones that I think are really good. And then I'll just take someone's resume, plug it in there, and boom, it pops it out. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it saves me a lot of time. And it creates the document for me, which is crazy to me. So that's one example of a use case with Claude. I could do tons that I use, but also curious what other people are using. If you're a claims adjuster using Claude, have you found it work well for you? Yeah, I just keep hitting the credit limit. I had to buy more credits. Like, what is this? I thought this was America. $40 a month and I still got to spend more credits. They just announced Strava. This is not insurance related, but Strava has a connector now into Claude, so I can take my Strava running data directly from my watch, and that goes, I get all my data, my heart rate data, my time data, my pace data, my cadence data, all that stuff just goes directly into Coach Claude. Boom, training plan, let's go. 5 weeks out, baby, 26 miles. We're going for 3:30. That's 8 minutes a mile. I'm gonna die. Dude, I'll do it for free. I'll do it for free. I'll send you my little template. Mine's not, it's not as, I can send you what I have. It's not as targeted for like independent adjusters necessarily as like full-time staff. So I'm happy to show you what I do, but I don't charge anything. Send it over. Okay, let's keep on moving on. Roles that I'm hiring, hot job alerts, working with some commercial auto TPAs right now, basically, without getting too deep into details. If you are a commercial auto adjuster, hit me up. I've been talking about this for a while. Commercial auto, transportation, general liability, bodily injury, all those lines are really hot right now. It seems to be where a lot of the market's moving, specifically in the MGA space, now also the TPA space. So those have been the majority of the jobs that I've seen here recently have been with TPAs, auto adjusting roles, claims examiner 1, claims examiner 2 type roles where looking for auto adjusters. So if you are an auto adjuster right now, or you want to be, or you're interested about it, hit me up, send me a DM, go to crewtalentgroup.com, submit your resume. Love to hear from you. Let's rock. Okay, cool. So let's just get into the main portion of the live stream. Again, this is totally open format. I've got some questions here that I've got people ask me throughout the week. If you're out there listening, tuning in, we'll ignore this and just talk about whatever you want to talk about. So totally open format. I hang out here every single Tuesday for 1 hour. Yeah, my office is open, so say hello. Got a whole bunch of people, I guess. A whole bunch, I mean one person currently on TikTok. I tried to join. I got 11% battery, so. But if you're tuned in here on TikTok, hello, thanks for joining. Okay, so here's something I get a lot, and I see this online all the time, and then I see companies out there marketing services based on this, and I just want to talk about it and dispel this a little bit. I keep getting weeded out by the ATS. What am I doing wrong? So if you're out there and you've heard this myth, like, I can't get past the ATS, I can't get past, I'm getting filtered out by robots. It's not robots. You're not getting filtered out by the ATS. I have demoed probably 40 applicant tracking systems. That's what ATS stands for. What an ATS does is it is a file cabinet for applications. Basically, back in the day, before the internet was a big thing, you had these things called file cabinets and paper applications. And if you applied to a job, we would hold your application on file for 7 years, and we would put it in a filing cabinet where it would go to die. Nowadays, we have this thing called the internet, so we don't need those filing cabinets, but it makes it easier. So if you apply to a job, we put it in this ATS. We can see how many people have applied to a job, where people are at in different stages. We can see what communications people have. We can hold candidate scorecards. We can also, if we say no to your job, like let's say you apply and we say no, not a fit, we can also then search later for the applications that might be a fit, so we can pull your resume easier for future positions, things like that. So that's what an ATS, applicant tracking system, does. I've looked at probably 40 of them. I would say I'm proficient in about 6 of them. I currently use a product called Recruiter Flow. There's tons of these products out there. Workday, a lot of these have integrations in different things. Sometimes they're set up in your payroll system. Sometimes they're set up with your CRM, whatever it might be. So what I hear a lot is I applied to this job and this robot booted me out because I didn't have the right keywords. And so out there is selling a resume service for $500. Their job is to optimize your resume so that way it won't get kicked out by the ATS bots. And I'm not against paid resume services. Frankly, I think there's some really good paid resume writers out there, and some people need it. Again, I'll give you my resume for free. Send me a DM, reach out to me if you want a solid resume template. $0. I will send you what I've got. This is the one I use when I submit candidates to my clients. So I know it's a solid resume template. I've followed a lot of the top resume graders out there, so I kind of stay current with this stuff. I will send you that for totally free, $0, nothing to you. But I'm not against resume writing services. What I am against is bad advice, and there are not companies that do this. The legal exposure for this would be insane. Think about the discrimination lawsuit that's going to come with this. If a resume robot is kicking out your resume because you don't have specific keywords, that's all they do, right? That's not how it works. I will say one thing I have seen is like scores. So like you'll have a resume robot that scores. So you get 150 applications in, it'll rank the applications. So this one's like, oh, this says a 99%. I found them all to be worthless. I would not use them personally. I would not recommend any company use them. I think it's a terrible idea for so many different reasons. But the main one is because they don't work. But I'm telling you, there is not companies out there, especially large insurance companies that know HR laws, that are auto-rejecting your resume because of an ATS robot. It is bad advice. Typically, if you get rejections right away after applying to a job, what's happened there is you have applied to a job, and as a part of that application, they've asked you like 5 questions. And one of those questions is, how many years of experience do you have? And they've got it so if you don't put 6 or higher, that it'll automatically reject you. Or maybe the question is, do you have this license? And if you put no, it's automatically going to reject you. But that's something that I hear. That when I hear that, that's what I think of right away. Those are called knockout questions. Those have been around since for 10 plus years. Okay, so the answer to this is that you just weren't a fit for the position. And that's honestly like an easier thing to maybe fix than some magical, mysterious robot. But I mean, you should look at your resume if this is the case. If you're getting weeded out or immediately rejected at all your applications, the first thing I would look at is your resume. Again, I've got a free resume template. Head over to crewtalentgroup.com, join the Crew Talent Network. We'll send it to you for free, or send me a DM, whatever. I will send it to you. No charge. The second thing, you need to really look at the jobs that you're applying to. Are you fitting the description? Are you fitting what they're looking for? And I would say rule of thumb is you do not need to be 100% qualified for every job that you apply for, but you should have about 80% of the qualifications that they're looking for. And so if you're constantly getting instantly rejected, there's a chance that you're applying for things that you're just not quite qualified for, that you might not be a fit. So take a hard look at what the requirements are. Take a look at your resume to see, does it match what that's looking for? And then, again, saying this on the show for a minute now, but conversations are more valuable than applications, right? And so getting conversations with people in the industry, getting conversations with hiring managers, getting conversations with people that are in jobs that you want, to learn more about them, to get connected, to network kind of organically, and to fight back against all these robots, as I like to call them. There aren't ATS robots rejecting your resume. It's not happening. There's not major insurance companies. I see this constantly online. It's not happening. Boom. Again, if you are just tuning in, if you're joining in, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for hanging out on a Tuesday. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. Go live every single Tuesday, talk about careers and claims, jobs and insurance, interview tips, resumes, whatever you want to talk about. You're hanging out. Say hello in the chat. Let me know what you want to talk about. Some protein shake. Get warm if I don't drink it. Milk mustache. Okay, so I've gotten this question actually a couple times from clients or hiring managers, so it's something I want to address because I think it's an interesting topic. Are companies using remote work as a compensation strategy, and if so, how do you put a number on it? And I think this is a really, really smart question that companies are thinking about asking, and I think that when I talk to job seekers, it's one of the biggest things that people want nowadays. People want to work remote. And I almost see the opposite from companies, especially like on the entry level side. Companies are moving back into the office. So if you're a company out there struggling to attract good talent, remote work is certainly something that you, and I'm finding it more and more, especially on like more specialized lines, where you've got a program, you've got an account, you're a TPA, whatever it might be, and you're handling super complex, high dollar, large, decision making, you need someone who can really make good decisions on behalf of the insurance companies for a specific line of business. It's hard to find some of these people, right? I've got a construction defect account where a bad decision can cost hundreds of thousands, if not sometimes millions of dollars. And so you need highly qualified people, and you don't really have the resources to train. And frankly, it takes years to train somebody, and you're drawing from an extremely competitive talent pool. How do you get someone? And one of the ways is to think about offering remote work. How do you get someone? Well, okay, your competitor over here has that person and they're unhappy because they have to go back into the office 4 days a week. And so how do you do that? One of the ways that you do that is you offer competitive compensation packages. And the way that you look at remote work is it is a part of your compensation package. It's not just a perk. It's a part of your package. And you need to be competitive everywhere, but it's a way that you can stand out against your competitors. Back in the day, you had really good benefits, you had really good retirement, maybe you gave equity, maybe you gave, those things still apply, and you should still think about all those things, but think about remote work as a part of all this. And also think about the talent pool that you're able to now pull from geographically if you don't confine people to a region where there's an office. And a lot of times, and I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but you don't if you need to train people, you need to mentor people, you need to build people up. And especially when people are first starting out, it can be more advantageous to have them in an office. But if you've got someone who's been doing it for 20 years and they're just a killer, what are they going to learn? A lot of these people are more productive when you put them at home, let them work their own schedule, give them an inventory, don't micromanage them, and let them be. And so if you're struggling to find people in your job or at your workplace, haven't considered it, at least considered it. And then it's other things too, where maybe your margins are really tight and you're you're a TPA and you've got really tight margins, and frankly the TPA across the street might be paying a couple points higher than you. How do you win that talent? I think offering remote work is a way that you can win over some of your competitors' talents and be a little more competitive in the marketplace for the jobs that you're offering. But I think the other thing is, if you're an employer or you're a company doing this, if you're doing it, you need to be loud about it. You need to let people know that your company is remote and you're out there doing it, and it's a great place to work. And if you're doing it and you're not talking about it and you're not advertising it, it's not front and center in your job description, it's not on your LinkedIn page, it's not on your website, nobody knows. So it's a whole strategy. And I think companies, I'm working with a really awesome company right now, and they're remote. Unless you live near one of their offices, you get to go in 1 day a week, which is basically, in my opinion, remote. That's the ideal. If I could work at any place, I would say 4 days a week remote, 1 day in the office would be awesome. You get to hang out with your coworkers. You don't really have to commute a whole lot, but I think it's awesome. But they tell people about it, and they're very loud about their culture. They're loud about how they're intentional about it, and it's just the right balance. And it's frankly awesome to try and get people to work there. And when I'm interviewing someone or trying to sell someone on this company, I don't have to pitch all this much. It's just go to their Glassdoor, go to their company website and read about them. And that kind of does the sales for me. And so, yeah, I think companies ought to be thinking about this. I think more companies should be doing it, especially at higher level positions, especially if you're struggling to find people. Using remote work as a compensation strategy is massive. But don't forget about all the other things. Don't forget about health benefits. Don't forget about 401k. Don't forget about insurance offerings, things like that. You still have to be competitive with your salary. But yeah, it can work extremely well. If you're an adjuster out there, if you're working a job in an office, I'm curious, what is a remote job worth to you? If you have, let's say this magical, mystical company appeared and they offered you a job and they said, okay, you can either work 5 days in the office or you can work remote. How much money would that be worth to you? The 15% of your salary? Is it 10%? I'm trying to think. My last job in an office, I used to drive 8 miles. I lived in Denver, Colorado. I would drive 8 to 9 miles to the office. It took me 45 minutes to get to the office. It took me an hour 15 sometimes to get home to go 8 miles. I was an angry human. And I would sit in traffic for 2 hours a day. I would have probably said $15,000 a year. Probably about $15,000 a year. I would have taken a $15,000 pay cut to. And then they did let me work remote, and it was awesome. So much happier after that. I got 6% phone battery left. We'll see if we make it another 17 minutes here on TikTok. Who knows? This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We talk about all things claims, careers, jobs, and insurance. Hang out. Love to hear from you if you're out there listening. Say hello in the chat. Hear what you're thinking about. Okay, we'll go through. I get this question quite a bit from people. How do I break into insurance? Basically, I'm totally new. I think this sounds like an awesome career. I want to do it. How do I do it? How do I get my first job? I don't have any claims experience. One of the things that I would recommend is to go out and seek out some sort of licenses and certifications in the insurance industry. And I think it depends on what line of business that you're interested in. I think you should also kind of be open to different lines depending on your background. But the first thing you should do is you need to go get a claims adjuster's license, right? And I talk about this a lot, but a claims adjuster's license does not mean you are a competent adjuster. Just in the way that a driver's license does not mean that you are a good driver. It just means that you are legally allowed to operate a motor vehicle on a roadway. So that's similar to adjusting. You go take this 40-hour class online, head over to adjusterpro.com or recommend a bunch of different places you can take this class. You spend 40 hours, you take a test, you get fingerprinted, you get background checked, and you pay a bunch of money. It's about $150 for the license, depending on what state you're in, plus however much the class costs. Could be less than that. Probably won't be more. Unless you live in California, of course. But go get a license. Step 1. Step 2, look at some adjusting certifications. One of them that I would highly recommend you do is start working towards your AIC. And that's going to take you a long time to do, but it doesn't take you very long to sign up for the first class. And then you can put on your resume that you're working on your AIC, even if you don't have it yet. AIC in progress. You can just be working on your first class. That shows that you're working towards something. you've paid a little bit of money, you have a little bit of investment into this, and that's going to make you stand out in the crowd a little bit. So there's two things that you could do, but back to the original question, your resume, you need to look at some of your transferable skills. If you're looking to be a property adjuster and you've got roofing background, you've got transferable skills that apply in the adjusting world, right? You have product ID, you understand how roofs are built, you understand construction material. So lean in on that. If you have a customer service background, claims is a service industry. Our job as claims adjusters at the end of the day is to serve the policyholders in a time of need. And so lean into your customer service ability. If you've got good negotiation experience, or if you've got a field investigation, or you're a police officer, lean in. So think about transferable skills. And here's a little exercise you can do is go pull 3 job descriptions and look at the qualifications and skills that they're asking for. And those are the skills and qualifications that you want to put on your resume. You're not just making it up, but you're going to try and find where in your previous jobs and experience that you built these skills or developed some of these skills. So that's where I would start. Do some of those things. But again, you need to get your license. If you want to be a claims adjuster, you're serious about this industry, a couple $100. That's your entrance fee. Take a look at some certifications. If you're dead set on being a property adjuster, go do some Xactimate training. Go get Xactimate certified. If you want to be an auto adjuster, look at some like ICAR certification. If you're wondering where you're going to land, you want to be open to lots of things, start working on your AIC. Go to the institutes, pay for your first class, start working on that first test. All of those things are going to show future employers that you're very serious about this industry. More than the 99 other applications that they got that just hit the easy apply button. And those are all applications that were built by AI that they're going to have to filter through, right? So those are some basic things. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some work. It might take a little bit of money. But those are definitely going to help you stand out in the crowd. What else we got? If you're out there tuning in on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you consume media, say hello. I'd love to chat here this morning. We go live every single Tuesday for 1 hour. It's been a hot Tuesday here in Portland. Woke up at 6:15 this morning. Got about 6.5 miles in on the legs, feeling pretty good. We're 5 weeks out from running a 4th of July marathon here in Portland, Oregon. Hopefully on the 4th of July, it's not as hot as it is today. High of 88 degrees, which is I'm stoked about personally, but I don't want to be running in that hot on the 4th of July. But summer is here. Hurricane season is here. It's tanning season, it's pool season, it's water season here in Portland, Oregon. It's also season to be looking at jobs in insurance, and that's what this is all about. Claims recruiter office hours again every single Tuesday. Hi, my name is Josh. I am a claims recruiter. I recruit claims professionals for a living. So I talk about things that I see in the market, people that I talk to, things that I'm hearing. And my goal is to help 100 people get jobs in the insurance industry in the year 2026. Got a little counter at the bottom here of the screen. We got 21 folks that have reached out and said that we've helped them. That's not just people that I place in my everyday job as a recruiter, but just anyone who consumes my content, who has leveled up, gotten a new job in insurance this year. We're hoping to get to 100 by the end of the year. That's a tall task. We're almost halfway through the year, but we're going to keep rocking. This is just one of the ways we do that. If you haven't yet, you can subscribe to my free newsletter, crewtalentgroup.com/newsletter. Also, if you're looking for jobs in insurance, maybe very seriously, maybe just passively, whatever that might look like, you can head over to crewtalentgroup.com and join the Crew Talent Network. I'll send you a free resume template, and that's how you get visibility into some of the jobs that I'm working. If I have a position that I think would be a good fit with your skill set, that's how you get on my radar for jobs that I'm looking for. So that's all I do. Fruit claims adjusters. I don't do any other industries, any other jobs, all claims related stuff. Live and breathe the claims, baby. Okay. Got this question live on the show last week. I want to talk about it again. How many applications should I be sending per week? Basically, this person came in and was like, so I've been told that I should be doing at least 20 applications a week. And I want to just shout out to all my job seekers out there. It is a tough world to be living in, looking for a job, especially if you've been laid off or if a job that you worked was ended due to no fault of your own. It's tough. It's tough. It's a full-time job sometimes, looking for a job, and dealing with kind of the rejection sometimes feels very personal. And so hang in there if you're a job seeker. You're struggling right now, it's going to come. Your time is going to come. But how many applications should you be sending a week? There is a finite number of job applications out there that you qualify for that, frankly, you would be a good fit for. And so saying that you should do 20 a week is like, that's crazy. Like, there's not... 4 weeks, 80 new jobs that you'd be great for. Like, that seems to be like, maybe, I don't think that number of jobs exists, right? If I was on the job market right now and I started looking for jobs, how many jobs a week? I think that's the wrong question. I think that you should apply for all the jobs that you can find, and I think you should spend time each day blocking out time to go look for specific jobs. But I don't think there's necessarily a number where you're like, okay, this is a good number. I think as many as you can, block out some time, work on it, don't kill yourself. But one metric that I think that you should be looking at, as opposed to this, is how many conversations that you're having. And I think conversations are just as effective as applications when you're job seeking. I posted in a couple forums yesterday, how did you find your current job working right now? And was asking for feedback, basically, how are people finding jobs that they're working right now? And I had one person say that they got their job because they applied and it was a job like Nationwide or something like that. But all the other responses were, I talked to a friend, I reached out to my network, I reached out to an old colleague, I found someone on LinkedIn and I messaged them. The last job that I got that was an actual job before I started my own business, I reached out to someone that I worked with previously. Hey, I'm quietly looking for a new job. They connected me with someone that was hiring for something specific that I was looking for. Rest is history. And so connections are just as valuable as applications. Conversations are greater than applications. So here's the challenge, is to go out and have 5 conversations a week. And you can use things like LinkedIn. Find people out there that have either the job description that you're looking for. So let's say it's a claims adjuster. You want to be a property claims adjuster, go connect with property claims adjusters, and then also connect with hiring managers and try and get in conversations about, like, looking for advice. You don't want to, the conversation is not, hey, do you have a job for me? The conversation is, hey, I'm a job seeker out here looking to do something similar to what you're doing. Do you have any tips or advice for me? Or have you heard anybody looking? Or what do you think the outlook of the job market is? Or what tools are you using that you think that would be effective for someone new to be learning? Or any certifications that you are looking for when you're hiring people. Get in these conversations with people. When you're directly asking for things, it comes off as disingenuous, but when you're trying to learn and just like asking people for advice or tips, I find your message responses will be a lot higher. People will be a lot easier to talk to, and you'll get responses and things like that. So try that out, as opposed to looking at how many applications you send per week. Don't do that. Try and get in 5 conversations with actual human beings. We're all fighting against the robots. As recruiter, the robots I'm fighting is ChatGPT or Claude resumes. You know, you post a job, you get 150 resumes. They're all perfect. You know, they're all just made up on, right? So it's hard to get into that conversation, and a lot of times you get the conversation, then you can stand out, but how do you get there? So using other means than just your traditional job application is gonna work a lot better. think back in the day, we all would go in, when you needed a job somewhere. I wanted to go work at the ski store when I lived in Colorado. What did I do? I didn't go online and submit an application. I walked in and said, "Hey, he's the manager." I pulled the manager up and I said, "Hey, my name's Josh. I got a degree in Parks and Rec and I got 3 years in the ski industry. Like, you should hire me." It was like a $12 an hour job. It wasn't taking any, but I was hired on the spot. Like, that's how it worked back in the day. But it's harder and harder to go into offices and talk to people. But you can use the internet to your advantage to do the same function. Again, it's always been more effective than doing job application, mass applying, or spraying your resume. Sending the pizza box with your resume in it. The conversations are going to be way more effective to you as a job seeker than spraying your resume across the world, trying to get 100 applications a week. It's going to be more effective. So keep doing the applications, but try and get in conversations with hiring managers. All right, let's do one more, and then I want to explore what's out there, but I can't be visible on LinkedIn. So a couple things here. So I get this question sometimes from people. It's like, how do I search for jobs if I can't really, I don't want my hiring manager to know. I'm kind of quietly looking, but I can't make a post on LinkedIn, and I'm a little bit worried messaging random people and getting in conversations because it might leak back to my boss. And I would say the biggest fix to this question is to work with recruiters in your industry. And these are the types of situations that we deal with quite a bit, is the confidentiality piece. A recruiter or a recruiter that's worth a dang in this industry is not going to talk to anybody. Like, I talk to people all the time, and I never say, "Oh, I just talked to your coworker last week," or "I talked to your boss last week." I literally had, a couple weeks ago, I had 4 people from the same company reach out to me. So I know something was going on. I'm not going to name the company, but it's kind of funny. Like, each time I'm sitting there like, "Oh, I didn't know that your company just made this policy change and that you're mad and that's why you want to change," even though I just talked to 3 other people from your company, including your manager, about the same thing. Like, I would never say that to somebody, and so I kind of pretend to do that, but that happens all the time. So confidentiality as a recruiter is a really important thing, on a number of different levels. Sometimes we work on confidential searches. We have a client that reaches out and it's like, "Hey, we've got this kind of tough reorg that's happening. We might be laying someone off, or we might be changing a leadership position, and we want you to go find this person because we can't post the job internally." And so that's kind of the flip side, is sometimes as a candidate, you want it to be very confidential. And so, a reputable recruiter is one way that you can kind of work that, or talk to a couple of different recruiters within the industry. And so it's a tough spot to be in. I also think that, if you send a DM to someone online and try and get in a conversation that's not, "Hey, I want a job," they're not going to necessarily be like, "I know your boss. I'm going to tell your boss that you're looking for a new job." Like, no one's going to do that. So I think that you don't need to overthink it a ton. You can reach out to people and have conversations, and even apply to jobs. And most of the time, it's not going to get back to your boss. But just know, like, any recruiter that you talk to, whether it be myself or any reputable recruiter in the industry, we're not going to tell anybody else that you reached out to us. Trust is the biggest currency that recruiters have. And if I break that trust, I have nothing. So, it's really important to me. And if you're a recruiter out there, it should be important to you too, but who knows? But, this has been the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. Every single Tuesday, I go live for 1 hour with the goal of helping 100 people get jobs in insurance. We'll do a quick little update where we're at. Sweet. We're at 21 of 100 people that we've helped get jobs in insurance the year 2026. If you're out there, if you're listening, if I've helped you, if you've learned something from my content, improved your life 1%, and it helps you get a job, I want to hear from you too. We want to get up to 100. We've got a long ways to go. Really stoked that we're at 21. It's 21 people's lives that we've helped improve last 6 months, and so that's huge to me, but want that number to keep growing. That's why we do it. So if you're out there, if you're listening, and we can help you. Also, if you've got questions or you want to dive in deep more, send me a DM, reach out to me directly. I will get to you eventually. I will say the best place to contact me, the most responsive I will be, is right here every Tuesday. I do try and get back to all of my LinkedIns and emails within a couple days, although it's getting backed up here recently. It's been pretty crazy, but I will eventually respond to each and every one of you out there. So appreciate you thinking of me, appreciate you tuning into the content. Thanks so much for joining. Shout out TikTok listeners. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.